let's go to the Grizzlies now. The Grizzlies are interesting because they're really coming around defensively with Jaren being back. And this is all without Desmond Bane as well, who's a pretty conscientious, physical, tough defender. I worry a little bit that there are too many ways that you can scheme them. I think that you can still scheme Ja a little bit in the playoffs, just in terms of the shooting. And if you can just kind of crowd the paint, I worry that they have enough where you're genuinely worried about guys shooting outside of Bane. I'm worried about Jaren shooting, but like if the option is collapse the paint so that Ja Morant can't take over, or like let Jaren Jackson shoot, I'm okay kind of letting Jaren Jackson operate away from the basket and shooting. Who are their other guys? Like Dylan Brooks? You're gonna have to play Dylan Brooks because you need the defense out there. I'm good with letting Dylan let it go. As much like I respect what Dylan's built in terms of his career, but like I'm good letting him go. And then they have to find a fifth guy. And like, I mean, who do you feel like is their fifth guy right now? Like Zaire Williams, probably Conchar,
we're talking playoff time, right?
has started
we're
a bunch
talking
of
playoff
minutes.
Time?
Yeah.
Do you watch many Grizzlies broadcasts or?
Like I don't watch. Yeah, look, I'm not going to sit here and say that like I listen to the broadcasts at all.
Yeah. I normally mute it. Yeah. But the Grizzlies made a trade to bring in Danny Green just to be on their broadcast booth during the regular season. Come playoff time, Danny Green's that fifth guy, and you know what that means.
Look, he really might be. Like that's the thing. Like, and if he comes back healthy, he could be really, really helpful for them. Like incredibly helpful for them.
I mean, that's a guy that he takes care of his body. He's always ready. And if he can go come playoff time, I'm putting my money on Memphis.
I think that they have a real shot. I think they have a real shot because Ja Morant looks like he is. I don't even know if he's taking like another step forward, but he looks like a second team all NBA player. I would say something like that.
I think he's taking another step forward, man. I mean,
do you?
There was a level of confidence last year, and I thought it manifested itself in the off the dribble 3-point shooting last year. He started last year just saying, I'm taking these. You're gonna have to guard me on these. And he's still doing it. And teams still are letting him shoot, which I think is a mistake because when he gets confident, which he's already a supremely confident player, but when he gets confidence in that 3-pointer, now all of a sudden he is drawing you out. And we know that he can get to the paint anyway. Even if you're waiting for him in the paint, he can get in the paint, he can contort his body around you, and he can still get shots up. But when you have to be worried about that 3 ball, now you've played right into his hands. And so I think that he has gotten better at pacing himself in that way. It's not full tilt all the time, but he's still trying to murder everyone that's in his way. He's gotten smarter, and his passing has improved this year. I mean, I don't know if this is something that he spent a lot of time working on. Maybe he watched a lot of film, just trying to figure out where guys like the ball. But it does seem like he's finding shooters cleaner. Not necessarily like making better reads, but he's finding them cleaner.
So the shooting thing is something that's really important. Like he's shooting 38% from 3 so far this season on like 5 attempts per game. And a lot of them come just like going around ball screens, right? He's averaging almost 4 turnovers a game. And it feels like a lot of them come when he's like driving toward the rim and they crowd him and like
he tries to kick it out.
Yeah, like I don't know if he's like feeling rushed or what it is, but like it's definitely on a lot of kickouts. So like that's why I'm like, I don't even know if I can say like he's taken an enormous leap just because the turnover problem for me is like, I don't want to say it's like a significant problem. It's certainly not a problem that I think is going to be an issue for him long term as he continues to go throughout his career. But I just worry that like, I don't like in terms of actual impact, the turnover issue kind of offsets the improvement in shooting for me because it's been a bigger problem this year for him than what I think has kind of gone stated. And this is nitpicking Ja Morant, right? Like Ja Morant going from 3.2 to 3.9 turnovers or whatever it is so far. Like that's nitpicking at the end of the day. He's averaging 28 and 8 or 28, 8 and 5 or whatever he's doing right now. He's unbelievable. But when we're talking about, a guy going from being a top 10 player in the league to a top 5 player, which is ultimately what I think Memphis needs him to be, the stuff on the margins matters.
I mean, his usage is up too. no Desmond Bane for extended stretch, no Zaire Williams,
no Jaren for a while,
no Jaren, and so I think that his usage has gone up too. So maybe like the turnovers, it's maybe in line with previous seasons or maybe slightly above. The other thing is, part of it is turnovers that are proactive turnovers are better to me than tentative turnovers, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you're trying to do something, you're attacking the basket, you lose the ball, you're trying to thread the needle on a pass. I tend to not think that, especially in the regular season, but now I'm putting on the scouting hat, right? Like those turnovers are more constructive than destructive for me as an analyst. And so with Ja, it's typical, like you said, it's going into traffic. Now, I wish that sometimes he wouldn't rely on his ability to get through the traffic and he would try to find a way around the traffic. But that's stuff that, what are you going to tell Ja Morant, one of the best athletes in the NBA?
Man, you can't try and go through these trees and
because he does this shit all the time, man. The other day, he's in the paint. There's 4 bodies around him, and he does the wraparound dribble, same hand, and makes a layup. And it's like, well, shit. How do you coach
that? How did he do that?
How do you coach it? I can't tell you not to do something that most people can't even physically consider doing.
I know.
So, I don't see it as a problem. And plus, he's not a selfish player. If he was a selfish player, frankly, Dylan Brooks turnovers bother me a lot more than Ja Morant turnovers.
In Dylan Brooks shot selection turnovers. Yeah.
Those bother me a lot more. Ja Morant could start pulling up from half court. I don't give a fuck. It's Ja Morant. But Dylan Brooks takes a 16-footer and I want to just rip the rest of my hair out.